Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of PNP's Den of Antiquities. Today, we are talking about episode 3 of the Dr. Pershing show, where we get Coruscant joyrides, cloning for about 5 seconds, and yellow biscuits. So stay tuned. No, but in all seriousness, we're talking about episode 3 of The Mandalorian. What did you guys think of it?
Bro said Dr. Pershing, and immediately I was like, oh, Dr. Phil. Like, we're
Yeah.
on about that.
I don't know his intro. I don't know what his intro theme is, but I would hum it if that was the case. But yeah, what did you guys think about the? It took a little bit of a different direction. Kind of took Mando and Bo out of the spotlight.
I got a lot of Andor vibes from this,
I
like a
see,
lot of
I
that
see.
slow build, character development. I'm sure it's going to be important, but it just doesn't feel important right now type feeling from this episode. And it was a very like left turn for me because I felt like, okay, cool, we have all this Mandalorian stuff, and then next thing you knew, we had nothing. You know what I mean? Like it all just disappeared.
Yeah, I know. I was surprised because I was talking to Charlie yesterday about it, and I was like, "Yeah, man." I was like, Grant kind of took a left turn. I was like, he's usually all gung ho for Star Wars. He's like, this episode was boring. He's like, I don't care about it. I want more Bo and Mando. And it's like, oh man. It's like, oh man. But Eros, what did you think about the episode, man?
Crikey! Did you see the size of that mythosaur? No, forget it. Yeah, it was weird. It was
Yeah.
like it. Yeah, it was good for a little bit of the backstory, but apart from that, yeah, it was a little bit. Probably didn't need to go as long as it did, and maybe needed a bit more explanation of like who the other lady was. And I didn't pay that much attention to the other episodes, but were the other three guys in the was it the Remnant housing?
No.
Were they on Gideon's ship as well?
I think they
No.
were just new,
Yeah, they're new.
bonus Imperials that have previously worked
Right.
on projects, yeah.
Yeah, dude, so sad
yeah,
that
no,
they
it was-
only got names, or they got only like I was like very like Clone Wars, like Clone Trooper vibes. Like, L327 or like
Right.
L5. I'm like, dang,
Which-
what is this?
Which honestly, I honestly didn't dislike that turn. Like it was definitely abrupt, but I didn't dislike it even quite as much. I thought it was more fascinating on the side that we got that sort of insight into how the New Republic is running. And honestly, I was seeing like red flags everywhere. First thing pretty much being exactly that, like, wait, we're not calling ourselves by names. We're like still like at like G45 or some bullshit. Like that is like that is essentially the Empire still.
Yeah,
And
that
then
was
like
weird.
also
That was
like
weird.
kind of going into details about like, well, senators still being like absolute idiots and literally not getting anything done and not wanting anyone's good except their own wealth. Yeah, just a lot of interesting stuff. Also, like the destroying of like information that the Empire gathered, even if it was like nothing like military wise, like if it was just like genuine like research. And like I mean that's what Pershing said. Like I mean these are perfectly fine, and like I mean this is just knowledge that we could contribute from. And they're like, no, it's Empire, destroy it. And
Yeah,
it's like
so
that
silly.
like, sort of like oversaturation of like we need to get rid of everything Empire, without really thinking if they may overcompensate on that area.
Like, thanks, Mon Mothma. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because I think in one of the
Right.
books, she's the one that like when they talk about like
Yep.
decommissioning like the Alliance fleet, she's the
Right.
one that put that vote into like it's like, oh hey, yeah, the Empire's gone. Let's like decommission like all of our warships, all of like basically have
Right.
like almost no army. Like, yeah, that's a good idea, you know.
Yeah, it definitely, like when they mentioned like the decommissioning of the fleet, that definitely triggered, like I was like first thing I read of like post like Return of the Jedi was Heir to the Empire. I mean that's also what happens there. Like their fleet gets decommissioned, and like people like Leia, Han, and Luke were like against that. Admiral Akbar was like pretty much the first front fighter, like saying that's a really bad idea. like even if we're at peace now, but like to keep the peace.
Well, yeah, they
it
were
kind of-
scared. They
That
didn't
definitely
want another
triggered
empire.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I know I said initially in our like spoilers chat that I really didn't like the episode, and I think I was just so hyped after we saw the mythosaur, and then we got such a great first few minutes of Mandalorians and all that other type of stuff. I have so much to talk about with that, but then we all of a sudden jump to this Pershing thing, and that's what I hated at first. After watching it multiple times, I literally have it going right now. I think one of the things I got this real vibe of like late 40s, early 1950s, post World War II, decommissioning of Germany and all of that, moving around, all of that stuff. Charlie, what's up, man? And I really liked that. This decommissioning of military equipment and all of these scientists being moved around and stuff like that. I thought it was a really good for what it was. It just, to me, felt like it had a lot more than it needed.
Yeah.
Like, I have the scene up right now where they're eating the glow-in-the-dark ice cream, and I'm like, this just felt unnecessary to me for what the show is supposed to be.
Bro, it's
Yeah.
Bindu Day. They got to live a little, man.
See-
You know? Which
Yeah,
Bindu
right.
Day is apparently it's Friday. That's like the end of the week. And Tong's Day is Wednesday because I looked it up. Like in our world. So,
Okay.
little fun facts for you guys.
Grant, I have to.
I was
agree
hoping he
with
was going to
you.
get zapped when he touched the planet.
Yeah.
I have to agree with you on the whole just seeing the mythosaur and being kind of on cloud nine. Star Wars is one of those franchises that are popular to the point where if they introduce something that is like candy like that, being on cloud nine kind of judges what you see later. I mean, I remember seeing Solo in theaters and seeing just the end cameo with Darth Maul, him being my favorite
Yeah.
character and all.
Well, I just thought that
And I was like,
Whoa!
dude, that movie was great, dude.
Spoiler!
Yeah, right.
I
was
just
like,
thought
dude,
we
that
were gonna
movie
have
was
some type
awesome.
of follow up, right? Like it shows the mythosaur, and the follow up that they gave us just from a storytelling side was mythosaur, and then hey, did you see something? No, you didn't. Okay, yeah, no, I didn't see it either. Yeah, whatever.
Forget about it.
You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, let's just leave now. That was the part that got me, right? Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
bother me. I'm sure we'll see it later, but just the way that portion of the story carried out, I was like, really, this is where we're going now?
Yeah,
But I mean,
I don't want to use
on the other hand, though, character-wise, it makes a lot of sense, though. Like, I mean, Bo-Katan, like, jumps into the water. She's like, I mean, she's assuming Mando just slipped and fell, and like,
Yeah.
the Beskar is literally dragging him down, and she's like, all right, I'm gonna save his ass again. And then
Yeah.
she's coming up, and then she just sees this mythical creature that was supposedly like it was supposed to be extinct for like the last freaking thousands of years, and now she's like, she accomplished it, like she saved Din, and then she's like, for one, like, did I actually just see that? And I think like she was also just kind of like, I mean, there's a lot of things I feel like that are crashing down on Bo right now. Like, for one, sort of like the different aspects of Mandalorian culture and how it's being like split into different factions. And now with the mythosaur, that mythical side of Mandalorian culture, I mean, it's just a lot to take in. And I also like we'll go into it like for the later part of the episode, but I think it's also part of the reason why she hasn't said anything about it, because she just doesn't even know how to like get that out there. I mean, you're just gonna be like, yeah, by the way, down there where you almost drowned, I saw a mythosaur.
It's
Yeah.
like it's like being alone and seeing a ghost. Like, you don't know if you just want to be like, oh, this is a crazy dude. I saw this ghost who was
Yeah.
walking down the hall at night. It's like one of those things you think you've seen, but you just you might sound crazy when you try explaining it. And you mentioned things coming crashing down on Bo. If you want to be literal, I mean her house, her walls, and physical and metaphorically. I mean, like, her house comes crashing down, and her house, like Clan Kreese, comes crashing down.
Yeah.
So, like, there's a little bit of a parallel right there. But
TIE fighters.
yeah, exactly. The interceptors, and that's what I was gonna get into. Like, I don't want to use the word buzzkill because that's like too harsh of a word to describe it. But you go from something like awesome dogfights, stalling the engine to fall back down, drifting with the wing of your ship. Oh, dude, this is awesome. Okay, now I'm watching probably one of the most, in my opinion, boring characters of Mando season 1, like uninteresting. Now we get a story about him. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in Mando, when they go aboard the ship to rescue that Twi'lek dude with the prisoner people, and then you see the New Republic Matt Lanter. Besides that, I think that's the only other New Republic live action reference post Return of the Jedi.
I think Dave Filoni, besides him being the pilot in the Spider episode and another one, they make one reference to that. But other than that, I think you're right, JT. By the way, really fast before I get anything else out, my buddy.
Hey, how y'all doing?
He's a ridiculously awesome artist. Knows his Marvel, knows his DC, and just got done watching The Mandalorian. That's why I asked if that was okay if he jumped in for this.
Yeah,
So he fresh mind about it. So
Heck yeah.
Nice to meet you, man.
What did
Hey,
you
what's
guys
up?
think? We asked everybody else, but you guys kind of came in a little later. What did you guys think of the episode?
Well, like the whole TIE fighter, all that, man, dude, that was awesome, man. That was. And then after all that action, then it kind of like slowed down a little bit, which I mean I was fine with that because it was like, well, I was in a rush with all that action going on and all that good stuff. And I agree with poor Bo. She just
Poor Bo.
she had to be like mentally like disturbed. Oh, that's a myth. Took it as a joke. And then like heck, even when I saw that creature, I was like, hey, what the fuck? You know, like
I think the one thing I was expecting with the Mythosaur, we saw that alligator, and we saw way more of that giant alligator thing in episode 1 than we saw of an entire Mythosaur. Like, I think that was the only thing that I was expecting, but the rest of that beginning part was absolutely incredible. Like, the more that I looked at it, the fact that we hear Grogu speak for the first time, or attempt at speaking for the first time, Din Djarin's failed superhero landing, like, I absolutely loved that little fact. Because in everything else, we have an awesome superhero landing, and here we are. I'm jumping out of this aircraft and not nailing the landing and scrambling back to my ship. I thought that was awesome.
Bro,
I
he
love
definitely-
the
he has a
realism is
signature
awesome.
move, though.
Yeah.
Like
I
that
literally thought
up
he
move-
did not have his jetpack for a brief little second. I was like, oh man, he didn't have it. He didn't pack it. This is going to be awkward. This is going to be bad. And
Yeah.
for us, it finally again.
I mean, do y'all agree with me? He has a little badass ship, man.
Oh,
That
yeah.
is
yeah.
Oh,
what he
yeah.
had.
Oh yeah,
Go back to an old
100%.
N1, now rebuilt. Yeah.
it's
He
a
turned it
classic.
into a hot rod, yeah.
I know. I'm all about muscle cars. So like when you like pimp out an N1 starfighter, make it like a muscle car N1 starfighter. Like, oh, dude.
Yeah,
Come on. The like engine sticking up out of the hood of the starfighter
Yeah.
and stuff. What's not to love about it, man? It's all
Oh,
chromed out.
man, yeah.
No, but Grant saying like that realism, like him not sticking the landing. I love that scene. It's so stupid, but I love the scene of him slaughtering all those Klatooinians, and then he cuts his leg with the dark saber.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
not a Jedi, right? He's not
100%.
trained to fight.
I like the
that.
realism that they give him. You know, I
Yeah.
feel like he's a really relatable character to a lot of
Yeah,
us. Like,
yeah.
hey, here's a new
He's
skill,
not
but by the way,
perfect.
you have no idea what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I don't know about you
I'm
guys, but there's something badass about Mandalorians getting prepped to like jump out of a ship. Like we got that. I think in the episode where they're trying to steal the freighter on
Yeah.
the calamari planet, where they're like jumping out of the ship and stuff. Like I don't know, the way he was just like all right, let's go, and he like puts his arms like this and just like basically dives out of the ship.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I'm waiting for the
Or
scene-
Bo
we saw the scene
Katan
in
doing
the
it.
trailer. We saw
Oh,
that scene
yeah.
in the trailer where there's a bunch that jump out. I can't wait for that.
dude. Yeah, I mean the gauntlet. Like besides like the badass stuff they did, like I think like I'm still so sorry for Avela because I screamed in her ear. But like when the gauntlet like did like flipped the wing up and like drifted and then fucking nailed that TIE interceptor. That was literally some of the most badass flying in Star Wars history, honestly. Like besides the Gauntlet already being such an awesome ship, but yeah, I can't wait for all that Mando action that we're still to see that we know from the trailers. Like, yeah, I mean just the like having Mandos basically loaded up like on droid gunships, like battle droids that like clip down, but it's Mandos just jetpacking down. Oh, it's gonna be sick. Yeah, I can't wait.
It's like Tom Cruise, Live Die Repeat. Edge of Tomorrow, when they're sitting in the big exosuits and they just go and they fall off the ship.
I still need to watch that movie.
One
I
Tom
haven't seen
Cruise
it.
coming in.
Yeah,
That's a good movie to watch. But I got real like Top Gun vibes. Like in Top Gun Maverick, he switches the engines, and one's full power and one's not. And that's the exact vibe that I got. And then the 1980s Batman with like the dropping the ship back down.
the stalling of the engine.
You guys were gonna make that reference. Yeah,
Yes.
I saw that earlier today, and I was like, oh my gosh, yes, there it is.
And he's done that with the Razor Crest. Like,
that's
when
like his
he
signature
fighting
move.
the
Razor
TIE Fighter
Crest
from
before,
Navarro,
too.
he
Yeah,
did that
signature
already. So it was like, all right, yeah, he can still do it with the N1. He's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
Oh,
for sure.
Michael Keaton Batman. I love that reference. I'm so glad you brought that up. Like for a second, I was like, did they just make a little Easter egg to that? Nah, couldn't have.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm so glad someone else seen that. That is awesome. Yeah, from just watching it, like, love the opening.
Yeah.
Mid has crazy points. Apparently, Empire just loves to torture brains and stuff. What the hell's wrong with that?
I love that we saw real mind flare. You know, we hear about him in other references, and there we go.
Okay, skipping to that part, I'm not gonna lie. I was fine with this whole episode up until that last like 5 minutes. Like, I'm sorry, like everything that we have in Star Wars, they always add like a little bit of like real worldness into Star Wars, and no real world situation did they use a torture device for like a healing thing. One, shouldn't they have programmed it to where it can't crank up all the way to like 11 anymore if it's like a therapeutic thing? And two, why
What do you
would
mean
the
there are
doctor
no bad
leave
people in the New Republic? You don't need that.
And I'm just saying,
Who
like,
just leaves
why
the
would the
room?
doctor leave the room? Like, never
just
during a
leaves the room?
surgery, you could just leave a room. Like, oh, we're getting X-rays, so we can just leave the room and he's fine. He can just do his thing.
Yeah.
Back in 5.
I
What?
that,
No
that
alarm bells?
like, what I liked was the fact that they redid that whole thing. Like the description from the Mon Calamari, he's like, oh no, this isn't a mind flare. No, this is totally a different thing. He's like, no, this is straight up a mind flare. No. This is that was the Empire. This isn't the Empire.
Same
anymore.
thing, different name.
Yeah, this is good. Take up the Bogalit.
God, exactly
You know
right.
it's the truth.
Yeah, it's,
Man.
I mean, we were talking about that. I'm sorry, Strike, I'm evil.
No, that's all good. Go for it.
But no, like we were talking about that about I mean, at the front, at least for me, seeing her, I was like, oh wow, okay, well, two former Moff Gideon people. What could go wrong? If you
she
look
was
at
mad
some of
sus. Mad sus.
yeah, right. Just she was. I mean, even what was it like the ice cream?
Yeah, it was
thing that
red.
Yeah, it was red. So I was just like, huh. I know they love doing things with colors and stuff. So we'll see how this goes.
Wait, you got to think
She was
about
too
it.
happy.
She set him up with the whole what was that? The stack, that little monument thing. Because he said, what is that? Oh, yeah, you can touch it.
Oh yeah, with the
yeah.
touching.
Oh yeah, she's got that Empire sadisticness. She knew it was
Yeah.
gonna happen.
Hey, you don't touch it. Like, bam, don't touch it.
But the New Republic let her walk away. Can anyone explain that at all? You know, they get off the ship, they stop him, and the New Republic just lets her walk away. Like she takes.
Oh, because she set him up. She told the New Republic that they were gonna go do that, and like that he was like thinking about redoing. I guarantee you that they didn't say that, but that's what I felt like was implied.
She even ate the biscuits while it was being happening to him.
Yeah.
Don't even get me started on them travel biscuits, Charlie.
Dude, they don't look good at all. They look so gross.
So
How they were saying, like, you know, he wasn't. What was the word they used? He was having problems fitting in.
Oh yeah.
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 Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just
And honestly, I don't know who made that system for the New Republic, but honestly, if you're gonna make every single one of these people that are trying to fit in speak to a droid every day, with the droid being like, "Are you depressed?" Essentially, like, if
Space
they are
therapy.
not already, they will be after this.
Yeah.
Well, even what he said, like like the fitting in, all the scenes Dr. Pershing was in was like awkward, like and it made me feel awkward. It's like secondhand embarrassment. There's like secondhand smoking. That's secondhand embarrassment. Because even when
that joke.
he's on the train, he's like, "Ton's Day, right?" And it was like,
Oh,
No.
You freaking weirdo.
No.
Oh, but that
So
one
Given the job they
creature.
gave him, that would have been enough to drive you over the edge.
Oh,
Yeah.
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 That one
exactly.
creature with the goggles. I'm like, every time they use those goggles in Star Wars, I'm like, I have those goggles. I know which ones they're using. That one creature with like the ZZ Top goatee.
Yeah.
Freaking. But what did you guys? I got real. While I agree with you, the middle part was really slow. Coming from like the prequel era, which a lot of us do. What did you guys think of seeing like Coruscant and like the Opera House and like seeing all the different like things? Like I got a lot of episode 2 and 3 vibes, especially when they're going to the train.
Yep.
That little area. That's
Sam
like,
Wessel Chase. Yeah.
yeah. I was like, oh, that's where Obi-Wan and Anakin get zapped and stuff like that. You
Yeah.
know? I was like, what did you guys think of, seeing Coruscant again?
It looked
Man,
just like
beautiful.
Attack at the Clones at night.
man, dude, it was so great. I'm sorry, JT, I'm evil.
Oh, yeah.
But no, it's you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
I thought not.
Seeing that place again, I was just like, no way they're doing that. And
so powerful and so wise.
Yeah.
He'd save himself from death.
And also like Dr. Pershing in that scene, like acknowledging the breakthroughs, the Kaminoans, like
Oh, dude, I
name
wanted
drop
more.
of the
I wanted
Kaminoans
so much
with
more.
cloning.
It's like a
Like,
TED Talk. He's like shuffling around that DNA. I'm like, dude.
Yeah, literally. I mean, it's just like these little nods that connect like all those different timelines together, which really, makes it like next level enjoyable to watch.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean,
Strike-
Coruscant was just beautiful.
Strike and I were on the same brain wavelength, walkie-talkie brain signals going on. We picked up on an audio cue of not only just seeing the Opera House, but later in the episode, I forget exactly when. I gotta rewatch it here, but
Yeah,
you
when
hear
he's like-
the wow,
Yeah.
like the opera
Didgeridoo.
theme of Darth Plagueis. Yeah, the didgeridoo in the back.
yeah, it was.
Yo, where was Papa Noya though? Like, where was he at? We needed George to come back and play Papa Noya.
I have a feeling he's not in the best state.
Yeah, probably not. That would have been awesome though.
You know
But yeah,
what? The more I think about that slow thing, I think it was designed to be awkward and off. Like everything was just the slowness, the droid, being the therapist. Everything just seems it was just off.
Oh, yeah.
I think that whole scene was just designed just to mess with our brains. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
just,
For sure. Well, you
It was
noticed too,
awkward.
like anytime Pershing got uncomfortable or like was like fibbing, he would like touch his ear, like where he got blasted.
Where
by-
he got
I think
almost
Cara
shot,
Dune blasted
sort
him,
of shot.
blasted that other guy.
That's right.
But yeah, he like touches. He has like that tick like every time, and
Yeah.
I thought it was funny because when he was talking about the cloning and stuff like that, he's like, I tried to do like my work was for good, and as soon as he gets done with that sentence, he touches his ear. No,
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know if it was
Almost
all
like
for
a lie
good, man.
detector, maybe.
It's
Yeah.
it's cool seeing the hardwired imperialness that is ingrained in their brains because they've been doing this for their whole life. This is their life's work, not just being an imperial, but they are military people. So when they just get, hey, by the way, you've been granted amnesty. It's just like World War II, right? With the Nazis, they came over and they were like, here's $1 million mansion, and they're like practically inviting them over. Watch the show Hunters, by the way, amazing show that shows stuff like that. But it's just like that, So like you said, like meant to be awkward. The hardwiredness of these Imperials. You see the loyalist that this chick is, how she has such a hidden agenda. I knew she was fake at the start, just the way she was acting, how it was
yeah.
awkward as well. Because right at the end, you see her like with the sadistic face, she cranks that mind flare up, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
dude, she's hiding some secrets. 100%.
Well, I mean, she's just so obviously still Imperial. Like,
Oh, yeah,
it's
100%.
funny because I remember when season 2 came out, and like in that last, I don't know if it was the last or the second last episode, but on the bridge of Moff Gideon's cruiser, there was like one like fairly long shot like that was concentrating on her, but she wasn't like really doing anything. She was just some generic line, but it like held on to her more. And I was really like, okay, do we know her? Or like, what's the deal? And well, I mean, I think now it's like fairly obvious that there was more like set up, like keep, remember this one, it's gonna come back later. And yeah, I mean, talking about Imperial, just like really going behind enemy lines. I mean, she's got all of them fooled. Yeah, that's like one of the things that I think is going to be very interesting. I think this was mainly also just really a long episode setting these things up. So I think that future episodes will contribute from them having taken their time here so they can like make it more fast paced later on. So we have all the info now, and then they can just just know that we have that info and move on. Yeah.
I'm really hoping
Ultimate
that
reconnaissance. Yeah.
I'm really hoping that this is a lead in, and I'm sure that this is a long shot, but we've never really had anything that connects the original trilogy and the sequels. We see Snoke. We've heard that he's a clone. We know that Palpatine's brought back or kept alive or however. And I'm really hoping that Pershing is like that link. Like, here we have it. That person who's good at cloning, knows stuff about cloning. And I'm really hoping that that's like the link right here. We're building this because we've never had that in like a show or anything with that connection. We have Rogue One that connects, the beginning of the original trilogy. So I'm kind of hoping that that's what we get with Pershing. Maybe that's why they're developing the story a little bit more. That's been like my secret hope. Kind of the only redeeming factor for the slow part for me.
I think Pershing's fish food at this point, man. I think when
You
she
think?
cranked it up, yeah. Well, that's what the Mind Flayer does. Is it like fries your brain?
No.
Like you're basically like you're like cognizant, but like you can't like you're just like basically a bowl of worm food.
Vegetable.
Speaking of fish food, though, with that Mon Calamari there, and him sitting there,
That's a
and
trap.
I'm sure everyone else caught it. It was a trap. Like, I was like, yes, this is that fan service that we needed with that one line.
Yeah, I like how like they all like kind of he's like it's a trap, and then like they all kind of like look at each other. They just go about their day.
Because
Yeah.
that whole slow sling, it fried my brain where I forgot I was watching The Mandalorian.
Yeah. I did. I'm the same way. That's what I said, I think, before you guys got on. It felt like a little bit of Mandalorian, and then an episode of Andor, and then another like little bit of The Mandalorian.
And I don't know about you guys too, but like, so the Mind Flayer is supposed to be like the craziest like torture device in Star Wars, right? And I don't know about you guys, but to me, whatever device they used on that chicken Andor seemed way more scary than the Mind Flayer. I don't know about you guys, but that's just what like her scream, and then like everything goes quiet, and then like it's like trippy, like, and then the Mind Flayer just shows like two little like it looks like his mind was like pod racing or something like that with a little light.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Had they given it more
remember
time.
He said it was like, it's supposed to make you feel better. Homegirl got tortured in Andor.
Oh.
Yeah,
she was
didn't
done.
get tortured until she crunk it up.
Yeah.
Had they given it more time in Empire Strikes Back, they probably would have made Han Solo's torture scream in Bespin a little bit more intimidating. That's just of that era. But I get what you're saying.
I thought it was cool that they brought that back in Kenobi too. Like there's like so many different there's a lot of different torture devices now that I'm thinking about it, because even like the droid that like is supposed to like poke Leia to like the truth serum or whatever that's supposed, they skipped that, but they go over that in the radio drama where it's like basically supposed to like hypnotize you. So like if it pokes you and injects the serum, like you'd be like, oh, you're on fire right now, and your brain mentally like pictures and makes you feel like you're on fire, like it like basically like it's like hypnosis or something like that. So there's a lot of torture stuff in Star Wars now that I'm thinking about it. It's kind of interesting. But what did you guys think, dude? The one thing I keep saying over and over again, like, it's so nice to have more aliens and droids in Star Wars. I feel like that's what a lot of these shows have been missing, and Mandalorian has been nailing it. Like when they're walking through like the transit like station or whatever, like there's so many different, like we walk past like 5 or 6 different like creatures and species and stuff like that. Like, what did you guys think about seeing all like the different creatures? Are you guys into creatures like that? Because like I know some people don't care, but
definitely. Yeah.
So what? Yeah, go ahead, Grant.
I like that it's not all CGI either. I feel like we really got back to like the original Star Wars with more puppeteering and actual like prop creation and makeup tree and all that other type of stuff. I love that. I think that's great.
100%.
Especially like OT trilogy, like species. Like, I mean, that's one thing that I feel like has been like missing in live action in the other projects a bit, like both in Kenobi and in Andor. In Andor, in general, like there
There's, like,
haven't
none.
been that much aliens at all. In Kenobi, they just had some really funky ones that were like new and were like sometimes a bit questionable. But like here in Mando, we really have like those OG, like we have Twi'leks, we have Mon Calamari, we have Quarrens, and really just like even more than that. And it really feels like accurate. It just you're just like buying it. It's like, yep, you know, I mean this feels accurate to like Coruscant. This feels accurate to a very lived through city that there would be this many species.
You know what it reminded me of is not Attack of the Clones, but a similar time period is in the 2003 Clone Wars when you see that red carpeted staircase when Anakin's undercover to try to meet up Padme. He has like a scowl, like he hates all these aliens, but you see that scope of all those different looking
that's sick.
creatures. It reminded me just of that.
Ditto, Tartakovsky.
Yeah.
Yep. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, when he's like walking, it's like super crowded. It's like a massive,
And they even got like the circus theme playing in there. Yeah. And by the way, I don't know who said it during our live, but I wouldn't have picked it up if you didn't say that during the circus scene in this episode, it's the Rogue One theme, but like circusized.
It's actually not. We looked it up. We did say
the
that
Resistance,
while
right?
watching, but it's the Resistance. Yeah.
But I think
But
it's
sounded
cool.
very similar to Krennic's Imperial theme.
I think it's cool that they do that because they did that a little bit in Solo when they're doing like the recruitment for like the Imperials, and you have a little bit of the Imperial March. I don't know. I like it when they can like weasel Star Wars music like into Star Wars because I think it's kind of fun.
It's goofy too because it makes you wonder like, is Vader marching? Like, do you actually hear this music? Does he think he's a bad?
he's got speakers in his mask like blaring it. Like, he's
Plus
chopping
one
down
charisma
younglings.
because I have my theme song.
Wait,
playing.
you guys don't do that when you go outside every day? This is a just Star Wars thing?
Sometimes I like to listen to Star Wars music by myself, walk in public, think I'm the main character. You know,
JT, that's the
Hell
only
you
thing that I
do.
assume every
He's like
time that I
Star-Lord,
see
you know, he just
is
puts
you always
his
have your
earphones
headphones in.
on
I
and
just
like,
assume that you're just blaring your own personal theme song the entire time.
And when I use the automatic doors in grocery stores,
oh yeah.
I like to turn around like that, like I'm about to kill Wat Tambor on Mustafar.
May or may not have done, but-
Yeah, I also like to go to the frozen aisle, like open the doors and be like, Han, where are you?
Yeah, for sure.
Man, one thing that I don't know if you guys are like this, but what I really liked about Rogue One is the sense of like scale that they use for like all the ships and like that. And when we saw that Star Destroyer, like that decommissioned Star Destroyer, like I thought that was so cool. I like seeing how tiny everybody is compared to like these like massive ships, you know.
Yeah, Jedi Fallen Order
reminded
me of The Force
Oh,
Unleashed.
yeah.
Oh yeah, Rex's Prime, all that good stuff.
I got some
Yeah.
real Jedi Fallen Order vibes with that, for sure.
Again, they're playing off of more Revenge of the Sith stuff, and I love that. When seeing that, like the little like stairway that she was taking him and everything like that, that really much remind I should go with you on this one, Master. Like the same like way where Obi-Wan and Anakin like parted ways as friends for the last time.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of looks like that. I know it's probably not the same thing, but it's still the
Same
scale
concept.
that.
Yeah, I didn't even
Star
think
Destroyer-
about that. Yeah.
It's just like it has a certain feel to it. Like you see it and you're like, this is
Yeah.
Coruscant, yeah.
Yeah, man. And the
And-
scale of that
And it's
thing,
also interesting because like right now we have two series obviously running, Bad Batch and Mando. And it's funny because like in Bad Batch right now, we're like sort of starting to decommission Venators, and now we're in Mando where we've already reached the point where they're decommissioning the Victory class Star Destroyers. So it's like
Yeah.
kind of a nice parallel, like back in the day they decommissioned the old battleships, and now we've reached another point where they decommission the big
No ships are
battleships.
safe.
So, yeah,
Talking about
it's a
scale,
continuous cycle.
what I've loved with scale too is the amount of on-location sets that they've used. This is just Disney as a whole recently with Star Wars. Like I feel like for a while there, especially with the
Volume.
prequels, We got into a lot of CGI. We got into a lot of studio stuff, a lot of green screen stuff, and like where Bo-Katan's castle is, again, like it's 2 hours away from where my wife lives in Scotland. And they're showing that. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna make another trip. Yes, but that's like it's cool that's what they're doing. Is they're doing so much more on location, even for something like that where they know it's all going to be digital, right? Like they built the castle. Where that is there's actually just a lighthouse.
Pile of rubble.
Castle digitally.
You mean there's not actually a castle there?
Well, there's no. Yeah, that's what I expected when I first. I started looking at it. I was like, that looks like the Scottish coastline. Like that looks really familiar. And so I looked it up, and there's a lighthouse there. That's the only thing. But I mean, but they use
it doesn't matter. Stuff. Hey, we'll go into the lighthouse. That's like Kalavala's castle now.
We'll visit that pile of rumble. You can go see Bo-Katan's crumbs of a house. Yeah.
But I mean, like I think that's really cool. Is even for a scene like that, they're using actual on location things instead of just CGIing it like we did with Camino, right? They could have gone. Nowadays, I feel like Disney would just go out to the ocean and record a section of the ocean and be like, "Yep, we're going to build our CGI area off that." But it just feels a lot more real now. And when we're talking about that large scale, it all feels so much more believable.
It's only partially true, though, because Camino, for instance, was a model. Like, the prequels actually used quite a few models and, like, polished stuff with CGI. That's, like, actually, like, Phantom Menace, like, surprisingly enough, has, like, more practical effects than I think either Return of the Jedi or Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, that pod racing where they used like the Q-tips
or
whatever?
Well, stuff like that. Like people are like, so much CGI and like they didn't make anything and like, it had more practical than like one of the OT movies. So
I think one of the most memorable for me is the Petronaki Arena, the Sacrifice Geonosian. That was a full, and you see the dude making that model. He's standing inside.
Dude, like Adam Savage was one of the people that worked on it.
Yeah.
Really? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Imagine putting all the detail.
He has a video on it, or like at least at some point talked about it. Yeah.
That'd be great. I'd love to make. I want to do. Eventually, I want to make it like a video. I want to make a coffee table, but the coffee table it's like a display case with like the pod racing arena. And I want to do like the Q-tips and stuff like that because I was like, that seems like such a fun project to make 3D print all the little pod racers and stuff. Like, I think that'd be a lot of fun. But what did you guys think of the ending?
Ooh.
Of Bo coming back with Din and them talking with all the Mandos and the armor. I'm curious to see what your guys' thoughts are on that.
What could go wrong?
It was pretty cool.
Intriguing.
Yeah, right?
I loved Paz Vizsla and Bo-Katan's interaction when Paz makes the comment about the Night Owls, like, oh, what do you think, Night Owl? And we know who he is. He's Paz Vizsla. We know his past. We know his heritage. He's made reference to his ancestors when he talks about the Darksaber, the splitting of the Death Watch, and the Night Owls, that whole thing there. And there's that very clear discontent. I thought it was very well portrayed, and unless you've watched the animated series and stuff like that, like most people are just going to skip over that. But for those of us that have, like, it was that nice little Easter egg, just one-liner comment there, and I thought it was beautiful.
And Grant, I said this to Charlie on FaceTime the other day. I'm like, hey, wouldn't you think Paz, would be a little bit pissed off about Bo-Katan if she ended up actually getting the lightsaber? Because his grandfather got beheaded by Maul. And she was kind of in the room and worked with that guy.
John Favreau just can't catch a break, which I'm glad he got that cameo in that of that character again and everything like that. It's like, man, your voice sounds familiar.
That weapon killed my grandpa. Yeah, it should be.
But she did thwart Maul as soon as that happened. She's like, I'm not working for you. So maybe he also heard about that.
Yeah,
so
definitely, she was not having.
Give her a little pass. Like, not much.
I know, but Paz should have a little bit more respect for Bo instead of just being like, you're an apostate too, because she worked with his grandpa.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I think it really comes from the helmet thing. Like them taking, which is so funny because like his granddad didn't follow that at all.
But is it actually confirmed granddad? I'm still not sure because did Pre even have children, or is it more like uncle or grand uncle or whatever?
That's true. I don't know.
I'm sure.
Listen, the Vizsla must have been even a cousin bloodline thing because if he died right then and there without kids, what can you say?
I mean, who knows? I mean, Pre also seems like the type that might have just done some women dirty. So who knows? So
yeah. Well, they took over that one prison camp in Clone Wars. Like that was like somebody else's home.
So what you're saying is he's a Mandalorian.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe.
this is the way.
You pulled a Kiadi Mundi, man. 7 wives, bro.
Oh,
I think when
hearts,
it
two
comes to
brains.
We
Bo-Katan,
call it liberating.
it continues of the fitting in. Is she gonna be able to fit in with the rest of those Mandalorians? I mean,
Do we
because
think?
what he
Yeah.
said was, make sure you don't take your helmet off. They go by the old ways.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I think she was taken aback by how welcomed everybody. As soon as they were like, "Oh, hey, you're one of us," and like everybody's patting her on the back and like surrounding her and being like, "Hey."
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Skynet.
We're losing Max.
The jamming of the communication can only mean one thing.
Hang on, I got it.
Invasion.
Invasion.
We're good.
Matrix, send no reply.
Ah, it worked
Oh,
again.
there you go, Charlie.
There
That was
we go.
perfect.
We're good.
Charlie
he's
saved
back.
you.
All right. What's the last thing you guys heard from me?
But yes, it cost.
I heard.
Yeah. You might want to start over again.
No, but what I was saying is like I really like that. I think she was taken aback by how welcomed she was within the group, because as soon as she was like, "Oh, I went in and rescued him, and I haven't removed my helmet since," and they're like, everybody's like, "Hey, what's going on?" Like they're patting her on the back, and you can kind of see her like almost like go like into like herself, like as like a shell. She's like, "Oh, like what is going on right now?" I'm being like welcome, because like everybody's been shunning her. She's lost her home, her family. All the Mandalorians left when she returned with the dark.
Oh no.
Here he goes again.
Not again.
I know, I'm working on it. Hang on. Give it a minute. Give it a minute.
Going on.
It's got.
There we go.
There we go.
My arms are
Charlie's
gone.
Again.
Oh, God.
Gotta love internet, right?
Yeah.
But okay, I think we're good. Because it gave me a little internet warning or whatever. I was hoping nothing would happen, but it went away. So hopefully we're good now. But yeah, to kind of, I guess, so the internet doesn't go out again, to kind of wrap up, does anybody have any final thoughts or kind of what they want to see next week with it?
Well, I mean, one thing that I was like wondering during the episode in the beginning was like the crazy amount of TIE bombers and TIE interceptors we saw.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, this is too much for like a light cruiser. Like either there are like multiple Gozanti like cruisers like in orbit, or we have a freaking like Victory class Star Destroyer that just sent like their entire like squadron down to Kalevala to like just cause mayhem.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh boy, like who's commanding that mission?
I was gonna say, what's the ratio too? Because for like every one interceptor, you see like 4 normal TIE fighters too. And no one runs a full fleet of interceptors like that. You just don't do that.
Yeah, like interceptors
that
are
went
like
through
the
my
high
mind was
tier of
literally-
high tier TIE fighters.
Yeah.
The only thing that went through my mind was that scene from A New Hope of, that's a short range fighter. It wouldn't be out this far on its own. And like I was like, okay, so there has to be something bigger. There has to be. And then when they showed that Star Destroyer and they're like, oh yeah, they're decommissioning Star Destroyers. I thought that she was about to lead Pershing in to Gideon, because we've already talked about Gideon getting away. I was like, she's going to lead him in. Gideon's going to be standing there. This entire Star Destroyer is going to start taking off. And here we go. Like, that's what went into my mind. But, I mean, I think we've explained that Gideon's left. We've shown Star Destroyers. Like, I think there's going to be a full-scale Star Destroyer there. Somewhere. I mean, who knows where exactly, but somewhere.
Yeah. No, definitely. And I think we lost Max once again.
Oh,
no. Never mind.
Oh, we got him.
Nope, I was about to. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys
No,
heard me,
don't
but
snap,
I
Charlie, don't snap.
I made like a cough noise, and I was like, the Chimera.
What's going on,
I'm
Brian?
here. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Coming in. That's the Thrawn
It's
ship.
really escalated quickly.
Yeah, the commander of the fleet,
So-
man.
Mhm.
Who knows,
Thrawn
man? Who
and
knows?
Gideon,
Thrawn and
which-
Gideon coming in
I
hot.
think Gideon's flown the coop, man. I mean, they've even made references to it and everything in the episode itself.
Oh, I
So-
feel like this episode was teeing up Gideon like the whole time to come back, because
Yeah.
we already know John Carlos said that he was in this
I
season.
was about to say,
So-
from most of our chats that I've had with him, me and Buddy over here were at GalaxyCon last year, and he was constantly talking about, when people would come up to him, how did Gideon get the Darksaber or anything? Stuff like that. And so clearly there's something there, and he's just can't wait. And on like his Instagram post, he always put for at least a month when doing like that, like the sigil and everything like that of like devil horns, and I'm like, season 7, okay, ominous. Which again we'll see, but man, I can't wait to see Giancarlo Esposito again, man. I just
Same.
Oh, yeah.
Same. Well,
Yeah.
all right, guys. My internet is going crazy, so I think I'm gonna end this this live stream. But if you guys have made it this far, thank you guys for watching. Tell us what you thought of The Mandalorian episode 3 and what you guys want to see in episode 4. And as always, may the force be with you.
stay awesome.